6:30 p.m. local time. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure having you for the last edition of this week's edition of Viewpoint on DBS television. You could watch us live on Facebook as well. We are still having as a guest of honor in today's edition Barrister, in which we had just last time, I think it's on Tuesday. We had him on Tuesday, and he is back again for us to discuss on other issues concerning the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon. Barrister Tamfo Richard, good evening again, and thank you very much for coming.
Good evening, Vanessa. It is always a pleasure for me to honor your invitations. And when I look at what is going on within Cameroon, I am but pleased that it is good that I give my own voice. I equally extend my greetings to all the viewers of Dbs TV.
Thank you very much. Mangavenashus, happy weekend start.
Actually, Vanessa, it is already Friday. We are happy we are able to have come right up this far. And good evening to our viewers. It's always a pleasure when we know that we would discuss with them when it is 6:30 every working day. It's a pleasure knowing that they are there.
A special greetings goes to Eno Berilyn watching us from Bafia, Inubam and Inubu Division. Viewpoint is a debate program divided into two parts, the questions and the debate. For now, let us have the questions. Once more, you are all welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you're watching Viewpoint. Can we consider the Anglophone crisis as an evil for Anglophones only? Barrister, your opinion, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Mangavenashus?
Yes, I share the same opinion.
Yes. And are Anglophones capable of stopping the crisis on their own? Mangavenashus?
Yes, I think so. They can.
They can. Barrister?
Yes.
Anglophones themselves, can they end the crisis?
I have my questions are yes and no.
Yes and no. Which to the greater extent?
Yes.
Yes to the greater extent. Coming up next, let us have the debate. Once more, you are all welcome back. Can we consider the Anglophone crisis as an evil for Anglophones only? Barrister, you think that yes, it is for Anglophones only, given the atrocities that have been happening in the two regions, with the recent one being Kumba. We have passed it, and probably we should be looking for solutions to get out of the crisis. But then, Anglophones are the ones suffering the majority.
Yes, Anglophones are the ones suffering, and when you looked at the Anglophone crisis critically, you see that it has embraced this time around the evil, because you see when it all started, people were saying that it was a God-ordained struggle. It was a God-ordained struggle, but when you look at it now, you think to believe that God is no more there, because the atrocities which have been committed. Those are things you see when you only have to deal with the devil. Nothing explains, no struggle on earth can explain or give you reason when you have to butcher human beings, give human beings a treatment that no other thing can justify. You see, the human value has gone down to a low level that nothing can explain. Not only now that you see it is now being committed on children, on women, all the inhumane atrocities. You want to kill somebody, you make the person suffer from its body. Such treatments, when you look at that, nothing can tell you that it's ordained from God. I think we have now embraced the evil part of it, the devilish part of it, and it's regrettable that it is still we Anglophones who are committing those atrocities on other Anglophones, meaning that we are now in a confused state. We are now in a state where it's only the devil that is maybe handling us. So there is high time that we pray to God for his intervention, because we have reached a stage into this crisis that it is not more being considered as a dwindling cause, but as an evil cause.
As an evil cause. And many Cameroonians and Anglophones are asking, is it the type of leadership that you want us to have when we must have been granted federation or independence? Asking the same Anglophones who are causing all these troubles. While we are speaking, the phone of Saul is still in the hands of his kidnappers.
Yes, you see, you cannot say you love your people and then at the same time you kill them. Or you want to, I don't know, when you finally have your state, who are you going to govern? Is this on these same atrocities that you do summary judgments on people? If actually we loved a country and you want to have the leadership of that country, I think we should have been preaching peace, love for one another. We should not have images where you see a lady being tied up with her back hand and then somebody is holding a machete to butcher her. We should not be seeing incidents where kids, just for going to school, are being killed as if they them too are politicians. I think what is going on is the work of the devil. When you go as far as kidnapping a man of God who is a high respectable person, tell me, which path are we moving to? So I think we have embraced the sad page of the Anglophone crisis and we are not on the right direction. Those people who are behind all this should think and rethink. No amount of armed conflict, no amount of barbarism, no amount of inhumane treatment will give sympathy to a cause which they believe is just.
Thank you very much for that point, Barrister Tamfu Mange Venashus. Equally think that this Anglophone crisis is an evil for Anglophones only.
I like the last word, for Anglophones only. Because when you look at this crisis right from the onset, around 2016, October 2016, 2017, the crisis was, you saw the kind of general mobilization, like Barrister was saying, where people were saying that this is, a struggle that involved every person. But then, from 2017 upward, 2017 ending onward, the crisis started taking a different turn. It became no longer a revendication, no longer protest, but an armed conflict where people started using arms. I think right from the 11th of February when the divisional officer for Batibo was arrested, this thing took a different turn. Now, when you look at what has gone down for all these 4 or 5 years, you see that it is Anglophones who are suffering. Anglophones pretend to be fighting for their future and setting themselves into untold misery and kind of all sorts of suffering. We begin with the concept of ghost towns. Ghost towns, what is the meaning? No movement. We block businesses. Nobody should open the business. Nobody should move from one area to the other. What is the consequences of that? Who is feeling? Who's feeling the pinch of that action? Ghost town. Because somebody start in a well-furnished, parlor out of Cameroon and called for lockdown. They just called it as if they are playing lockdown for 1 week. How do you expect those people to survive? Now, away from lockdowns, we talk about the numerous arsons that we have recorded in schools, on personal property. Vanessa, if you have to say you are destroying a school, destroy a school in Jakiri. I am from Jakiri. You destroy GHS Jakiri. Will Paul Bia's child leave Yaoundé to come and attend GHS Jakiri? You destroy a school in Batibo. Will Paul Bia's child leave Yaoundé to go and attend a school in Batibo? Who is suffering? Whose child are you? Whose future are you trying to to thwart? Is it those who are supposed to handle the situation? Vanessa, away from destroying schools, you said children should not go to school. Whose children should not go to school? We the Anglophones. So we need a country where everybody will be illiterate. While we are not going to school, the other part of the country, they are conveniently going to school. And once they will graduate tomorrow, they say they want somebody who has A-levels. And you don't have an A-level. We are coming back to the same old issue. Because you did not go to school. Somebody went to school, is already a graduate. What would you say? And in as much as it's not as if we have asked the children to not to grow, while this is going on. For 4 years, take a child who was supposed to be, who was in Form 1. That child was supposed to have been writing the O-level. The child is in Form 1. And the worst thing, when I look at the girls, the rate at which girls are growing with the consequences that come with that, the lives of these children that we have spoiled, that we will never go back to reverse them, there are many. We are talking about those who are still even alive, who may still live a thwarted life like that and live. What about those who have died? Who are those who are dying? Because I've not heard, because we want to talk about Anglophones, we're talking an Anglophone, just opposing it with Francophones. I'm not hearing of Francophones dying. It is the Anglophones dying. Who are those who are killing the Anglophones? Now, let's look at the state of the road. I remember at one point, roads that we are practically, very few tarred roads that we have, they go on destroying, that they want to block circulation. When it will be solved, you know how long it will take again for that very road that you have cut to be rebuilt. Who will be suffering? Who will be passing on that road? And then we will come back again crying that the state of our roads are a type. We, the Anglophones, we are the very people suffering. Vanessa, I think that if we want to fight for whosoever, now, even we are talking about the roads, the very Anglophones that we are fighting for, they are the very Anglophones that we are subjecting them under all forms of torture, under all forms of... Vanessa, over the weekend, or the last weekend and the beginning of the week, I listened to the footage, video footages that they were circulating on social media about the foreign who was captured, and they were questioning him. If you listen to the questions they are asking, Vanessa, you can cry. Barrister was saying something, whether these people, they know what they are doing. We are, when they talk of culture, we believe that Anglophones have a deep-rooted, respect for their culture than the Francophones. That is why, back in our culture, we respect our phones, our chiefs. But here, you have chef de quartier, chef de bloc, they are just any other person. We drink with them anyhow. But in our villages, we cannot do that. But this is a first-degree phone who is being taken by some individuals, and then you listen to the way they are asking him questions. You tend to ask yourself, where are we heading to? Imagine if when this crisis will come to an end, God help us come to that state. This internal, conflict between you did this to, you people did this to would it ever end? We have plunged Anglophones into a kind of, more than 2-3 decades to come. We will still be suffering from the impact of this crisis. And who are those who are causing it? Anglophones. I think that it's high time that we should give some simple reflection on this crisis and look at what is the way forward. There are times that you can have a very good cause, a very good case, and then the cause, the approach you adapt, you take in expressing that case, changes everything. It changes everything. It is not because your case is not genuine. The case is genuine. But you have used a wrong approach. And in that wrong approach, now the person who had the right to redress the situation, he will now, instead of looking at the case that you brought, he will hang on the approach that you are bringing. And it is on that approach that will, they will say, will weaken, the authenticity of your case. And that is where we are now. Because now we are talking about human lives. Barrister was saying that there is no justification whatsoever struggle that we had that you can talk about when it comes to human lives. Because we will talk about the 7 children who died in Kumba recently. We are talking about those who died in Garbo. Whether they solve the situation, whether they solve it and it becomes as perfect, near perfect like in USA, these children will never come back to life. What happens to them? So why should they die for something that we could take, reason, restraint, and then come to it? Some people sit out elsewhere. The society they are sitting in, what do they think that us can also be like? So I think that it's high time we reflected on ways that can put the situation on a just case, on a case that every other person can appreciate. Because I don't think there's any right thinking person now who can see things from the way they are now and say that they are on the right way. Because whatever you now say we are claiming for, in as much as human lives are at stake, in as much as we are torturing human beings, Vanessa, I don't think that we have no case when it comes to cases like what we've had recently. With this crisis.
Recently. Are Anglophones capable of stopping the crisis on their own? Barrister, you are on the fence. Yes, they are, and no, they are not. But to the greater extent, you think that they are capable of doing so. So how would they approach the problem, given
Yes.
that majority are powerless, they are weak, they are under the control of some few who are abroad, who are in the diaspora, and those are on the ground now causing terror?
I think that within the Anglophone community there are a lot of fractions, and Anglophones have to talk to themselves, because in what we are living today, we have some people who are unionists, we have some people who are federalists, we have some people who are separationists. So you need to have an avenue where each of the Anglophones express themselves. It could maybe through a referendum, and when you want Anglophones to talk, there are also somewhere in the diaspora, which is not the left out fractions. Anglophones, the two regions, counts at least 8 million Cameroonians. So I believe that if Anglophones could sit like as the other past events, like the All Anglophone Conference, if Anglophones can speak, and will know after their talk, will know exactly that the balance ways may be on federalist, or unionist, or secessionist. It is from that environment or through that referendum that we'll be able now to know that, okay, these are the people to represent us. Because today, Anglophones, or those who are considered themselves as elites, are no more the true representatives of the people. That's why you see that since the beginning of this crisis, those elites, those so-called elites, are unable to give what is the exact positions within the Anglophone region. So Anglophones themselves can solve the problem if we are given the opportunity to talk to each other. But now, when I looked at the other way, is that it should not only be limited to that it's an Anglophone problem, because it's affecting also the Francophones, those who are living in the other two regions. Because you see that with what is ongoing now, the economic activity is down, even those who are in the friend zone. You have people who are internally being displaced. You sit in the friend zone and you see that the ration that you used to give at home cannot still withstand. So it's not just something that they have to abandon Anglophones for themselves to resolve it. The Francophones too should be able to put in their voice, so that Anglophones should be able to sit down together, talk together, and then all of us now will live as a family. That's my own opinion about it.
All right.
Anglophones can solve the problems if we are given the mechanisms or a conducive environment. I believe that there is no problem without a solution. We should talk to ourselves, and from it, if we have difficulties in understanding, we can maybe go through a referendum, and from there we'll know where the majority is.
All right, now that we are having these different factions of people, like you said, the unionists, those who are working for federation, and those who are working for separation, how can they come together? Because at this particular moment, everybody is like at the defense side. Today is lockdown, the other faction will say no, today they go to school, tomorrow they don't go to school. So if they are divided among themselves,
yes,
how would they be able to do that?
The truth is that those who are in Cameroon have a superior hand over those who are in the diaspora. If, for example, because we are the ones here who are feeling the pinch, if those who are here, the so-called leaders who are here, for example, if I was president of the country, or a person who has been put to resolve this crisis, I will meet those I call leaders who are back here home, and tell them that, okay, if there is ghost town, for example, as he cited, there is somebody who is giving orders to those people to respect it. Is there a possibility to make things come back to a normal, maybe for 1 week or 1 month? We'll stop ghost town. Can you stop it? You see that if already there is a leader somewhere here within the country that is able to give that order that no, as from Monday, continue to go about your activities, then there is high probability to believe that that person can now meet the other fractions and talk with them. I don't continue to believe that the small fractions which is outside is able to control the majority which is inside. The leaders of the Anglophone crisis, or those who are giving those orders, be it arms, be it those ghosts, that they are found in Cameroon. So let's exploit those avenues. Some of them have been arrested and are in jail. Some of them are still outside, which we know where they are. Let's use those people to make a conducive avenues for people to talk.
For people to talk. Mange Havana shoes, are Anglophones capable of stopping the crisis on their own? Categorically, you think yes, they can do so?
Of course, Vanessa, they can, because who are those who are fighting who? Who are those who are causing this havoc? It is the Anglophones. Vanessa, when I say it is the Anglophones, I mean that if Anglophones decided, remember I started saying that we had a case and the approach we gave to that case made the case no case. Because if we initiated this case and we wanted to, and we took it diplomatically, I think that we would have had a good backing, even from the international community. But when it comes to violent, armed conflict, there is no international representative that can want to support you, because that will be supporting the armed conflict in a country. It is very normal for us to have tendencies of secession in a country. It is not a new thing in Cameroon. Nigeria passed through it. Canada, they passed through it. Spain had it. Even in France. It is not new. But the problem is, how do we go about expressing that our view? Even in the US, how do we go about expressing that? Should we just get up and take arms? What I mean by Anglophones can solve it is, those who are asking for these atrocities to be committed, because we had videos circulating on social media, they are Anglophones. They will tell you, lockdown, close the whole place for 1 week. They will tell you, we don't want this to be. They will tell you, no children should go to school. Whose children should not go to school? Which town should be closed down? I think that when Anglophones had to bring up this issue, it was for the good of the people. When I listened to, after the last incident in Kumba, when these children were killed, and I listened to the way people were talking, you could read from the comments of these Anglophones, it kind of, we are tired with this thing, because everybody, from what happened in Kumba, condemned the act. From what happened in Garbo, everybody condemned the act. It is true that thieves may infiltrate into this thing, and we are having a different kind of, or what we are having on the field. But then somebody must, you must initiate it before the thieves come in. And I think that if Anglophones get up as one man, Barrister said those who are back home, these are those who are living it. If they get up like one man and say that, no, this thing, we have ended. We have children. Is it everything that your child asks you that you give your child? Would he cease being your child? Would she cease being your child? Your child can ask something and you think otherwise. And if you are such a child, or all of us were children, is it everything that we asked from our parents that they gave us? Why did we not, if I use the word secede from our parents or from our family, why did we not say, I cease being a member of this family? Because they have not given me this. There are ways, at times you ask something to your father and he tells you that, no, I'm not giving you. You try to re-strategize again and see how to really negotiate your way, relaunch your request again, take another approach. And I remember we used to tell my father that, no, a teacher said I should not come to school tomorrow if I don't have a pen. Which teacher will say so? Because he knew that once your pen got finished, you must bring the stem and show him. And then when you start saying, and you tell him that, no, Papa, the teacher said nobody should come to school tomorrow without a pen. Okay, he is giving on the grounds that is another way of negotiating with him. But not that he refuses to give the pen, and then I say, because I'm not given the pen, I'm no longer your child. That's a wrong approach. I think that if we re-strategize, use diplomatic means, we can sell our agenda through. Historically speaking, there is no way we would ever bury the fact that Cameroon was a combination of the French-speaking and the English-speaking parts. There is no way we'll ever bury it. It will live on in as much as Cameroon will live on. But then the problem now is it right for us to get up now and say the English part want to secede? We can get up and say so if we use the right means, if we use diplomatic means. But then nobody will support the idea that we use arms. Nobody will support the idea that we kill human beings. Nobody will support the idea that we torture the very human beings we pretend that we are fighting for them. I think that if we re-strategize our ideas, then we can come to something, something meaningful, something objective. But if the crisis stands as it is, I don't think that we have a point. So all what we're doing is we are instead causing havoc, misery on ourselves. We are suffering ourselves. Because, Vanessa, the fact that you are a separatist, a fighter, it doesn't cut you from being an Anglophone. It doesn't cut you from being my brother or my sister. We still remain relatives. And then tomorrow, when the situation would have finished, how are we going to
face each other?
So that is why I think that if we should reconsider our stand, I am not saying that the case doesn't exist. It does. It once existed. And if we want to think that we can secede, let's take the right path. Call on the international community. They brought the idea of a referendum in Cameroon when they decided to say, should we gain independence by joining the French Cameroon, the independent French Cameroon, or the independent Nigeria? And we opted to join the French Cameroon. Now, if we feel that it is not going, why not go back to them and ask them, like you brought us here, please, can you come back and we renegotiate the deal because we want to stand on our own? Let's just say that our leaders at the time, they were short-sighted because there was every logical thinking person would say there is a third option that is absent. Because they should have asked joining Nigeria, joining Cameroon, and being on their own. Now go back to those who brought this case, go back to the UN and say, we want that third option to be brought up. We want to stand on our own. Now, since our leaders were, I don't want to say chicken-hearted, to ask the question that we want to be on our own, now we want to, like their children, we want to stand on our own. And then the international community, those who conceived that idea would see, are you people fit to stand on your own?
Are you ready?
There are states in Cameroon or in Africa that are smaller.
Up your point.
Actually, there are states in Africa that are smaller than Southwest and Northwest region. They are far smaller and they are existing as sovereign states. So I think that we cannot say they are small, they cannot stand, they can. If they put their case the right way, so they can stop the ongoing crisis, Vanessa, by stopping violence, by stopping the killing. And I think with that, we would be having, the support of the international community.
All right, Barrister, one last question before we go. Overall, despite what Anglophones can do to help themselves, what else can the government do? Because I think they have the upper hand.
Yes, the government can take an upper hand or an upper step in calling for ceasefire. Calling for a ceasefire does not mean that the government is dropping down its guns. No. Let's stop the shooting. Let's call for a ceasefire. Let's invite Anglophones to talk to themselves. Those people who are on exile, they should be able to come back. Those who are in the prisons should be able to be released, so that from doing that upper step in releasing everybody that has been arrested within the Anglophone crisis, it will give a peaceful avenue for people to talk to themselves. You cannot be talking to somebody who is in prison. It won't work.
It won't work.
Let's call for general ceasefire. They can still maintain the police and the gendarmes there, but we stop shooting, and then we open the doors to all those who were arrested. Let them be released and tell them that you people should go and talk with your people.
Thank you very much, Barrister. He is talking of dialogue and inclusive dialogue, of course. Thank you very much, Barrister Tamfu Richard, for coming again.
Pleasure is all mine.
Mangavela Shusa, wish you a happy weekend.
Same to you, Vanessa, and to our viewers.
And to our televiewers, we are wishing you a happy weekend in the company of programs on DBS television. That was it for today and for the week. We have ramped up. Hope to see you on Monday, God willing. Do stay blessed.